All right. Well, thanks to everybody for coming in and spending a little bit of time. I just thought it would be good if we all got together and had at least a little bit of time to just chat about what we were doing right now, what kind of things we're hearing, what challenges we're facing, and stuff along those lines when it comes to our employer relations activities as we've now all gone virtual and stuff. So I'll do a quick overview of UNC Charlotte's things. We are moving, of course, everything through our meetups and information session schedule is now done virtually. We've got 8 coming up in the next couple of weeks. And some are specific topics employers are presenting, like they would, come and talk about their internship program. And some are we're employing them to help our students learn more about good online interview techniques and how to engage with the recruiters on LinkedIn when they may not have like the N account. So how to send that little short message and connect people, and just to be a little more aware of their online branding. And then the director, Patrick, and I here have a workshop series coming up over the next 3-4 weeks in April. That's all about preparing yourself for the extended online world that we're all living in right now. So we're talking about good online networking, how to beef up your resume, and then other ways to build experiences in case your internship is canceled and things along those lines. So that's just some of the stuff that we're doing here. And I really want to open up the floor now for anybody to jump in and just say what you're doing and then what challenges you're hearing.
Just because I hate silence, I'll jump in and start. Jay, how's that?
Thank you.
We are very much in a bit of a holding pattern a little bit for our students. We found a lot of students are just now kind of getting up to speed on even what it means to have online classes, just because UNC Asheville didn't have a lot beforehand. And now, I mean, there have even been faculty members who have been reported as not even saying when they're going to be having their classes and how the online piece is going to go. So there's been some kind of challenges on that side of things. But, for me, I've been trying to keep up with, economic updates. I've been trying to be on every webinar I can for working with, our regional partners on, just trying to find out who's hiring, who's looking for folks, because in Western North Carolina, where there is a lot of hospitality and tourism, as you can imagine, there's probably Casey has a lot of the same types of employers where there is a big expectation of a lot of folks kind of dropping into the unemployment side of the house. So I'm trying really hard to be as kind of conscious and aware of every new opportunity, every new hiring position hired right now, just because it's been kind of a challenge in our area. So remote work is a little tougher just because of not having quite as much broadband internet as some other areas are. So we're definitely learning as we go, kind of building the plane as we fly it, as they say.
I hear you.
Jay, this is Dana at Wake. We've had some of the same mindsets as everybody else. In fact, we had a call just prior to this where, we're doing the same thing. We're reaching out to employers. We're trying to see what the lay of the land is with them. Students are getting acclimated to their online courses. But I think everybody that I've talked to and on calls I've been on lately, everybody's seeing a low student response.
Yeah.
To activities. And we're trying to be mindful of where the students are, what place they're at, whether they are just trying to get acclimated to virtual, just trying to deal with family. But there are students who are ready, who want to connect. And we're trying to make sure that they are aware that there are opportunities with, they're hearing the negative on TV, unemployment, but there's still opportunities. And we're kind of trying to figure out what's the fine line of trying to just let them settle into being a student with online stuff that they've got to deal with academically, but also pushing them to have a little bit of, pep in their step and get working on the employer side too, because there are jobs. And if they snooze, they lose. They're gone. So I'd love to hear what some of you all are doing to try to get some of the kids to react to what they are seeing, because it's timely. Those positions may be here today, gone tomorrow. So any creative things you're doing to get students to log in and take advantage of those, I'd love to hear.
Yeah, I wouldn't say at this point we're kind of in the same boat as everyone. From a creative standpoint, I've just been really trying to maximize my use on LinkedIn, because I am connected with a lot of students and sharing good resources that I'm seeing, sharing great articles, sharing those posts from companies that say that they're still hiring. I have had a few employer Zooms, and it's mixed messaging. Some are still actively hiring, some have put it on hold. The ones that are, we're just trying to highlight those. You guys may have seen a post we put on LinkedIn yesterday, but every week we're going to try to highlight positions from each of one of our colleges on campus, so that students can kind of see that there's something out there for everyone. And that's coming, we're pulling those right out of Handshake. But, I think my biggest struggle is we don't really have the virtual support. I'm sure there's things that we could do, but right now we're still settling in. And, our career center is not one that I think was fully prepared to take on this virtual battle. And most of the, I don't want to say people are old school, but it's a little old school. And I don't really know that we have the technology or the resources to do a lot of that. So that's things that as we're continuing this, we've got 30 days now that we know at least we're going to be figuring it out. So maybe trying to see if we could get some of those prepared. And we definitely have employers that are open to it, doing some virtual resume reviews. We had to cancel our Resumania event, so thinking about rescheduling that from a virtual perspective, maybe doing some info sessions on just, how to prepare for virtual interviews or things like that. Not even necessarily recruiting, but them just still engaging with students. But it's just figuring out how to set that up and, really if our students are going to be engaged in doing it. I will say Comm Studies, we're supposed to have Comm Studies week this week. I logged in. I was the guest speaker last night for a talk on LinkedIn, and it was after hours, but there were about 25 students on it. I think they get points in Comm Studies for attending because it's a student org, but I was shocked by the amount of students that did log in and participate and ask questions. So I do think there's a small amount on there, but, and Emily can attest to this, she's on this call, but I think we've just even seen a lower number of jobs and people connecting in Handshake at this point coming through. Right now, I think we have 41 outstanding jobs. I know I've looked at that before and it's been like 200. So, and, we're doing everything virtually, but even looking at like the appointments that they have for the week, we have, I think, 5 counselors and there's a total of maybe 18 appointments, maybe. So, and some of those I think are class assignments that the students are having to do, like big interview stuff. So it'll be interesting to just kind of see. We're only on our second week. So, I think students are still adjusting as well.
I would echo that. Are any of your offices holding virtual career fairs or anything like that?
We are not. We were already through our major events before this happened. The only thing we had to cancel was Resumania, our grad expo, and our etiquette dinner.
Right. And I'm at Duke. This is Monique. So we are not holding our own virtual career fair, but we are heavily marketing the SEC and ACC virtual career fair, which now has over around 194 employers participating. So we have prepared some documentation for students to engage with employers in that way. And it's not our first time participating in the SEC, ACC career fair, but we realized that we're having to do more coaching of students to prepare to either work virtually or do remote work and engage with employers on a greater level in a virtual manner. And so along those lines, other things that we're doing with employers include virtual information sessions, virtual chat sessions that are primarily geared to our first year and sophomore students. They're called First Contact and Sophomore Conversations. And one of my colleagues actually started that last year. So it's good that we've seen an uptick in employers wanting to participate in that. And those topics vary. I mean, in some cases, they're just sharing information about the type of work that they do. We also sent a message out to all of our active employers to let them know that they can connect with us virtually and they can continue to engage with students virtually. So that not only included the first contact and the sophomore conversations, but it also included the virtual information sessions. And we're going to start up doing some virtual site visits. We utilize the Zoom software, but we're also open to any type of software that the employer is using. We also, through that messaging, we also ask employers to share with us what updates that they have. For instance, if they're transitioning their internships to be virtual or remote, or if they're doing away with their internships in general. And for the most part, we have had some updates. I mean, we've heard from quite a few employers that are going to continue with their internships, but just transitioning it to virtual. So, so yeah, that's just on a high level of some things that we're doing. And, you know, if any of you who are continuing to identify ways to connect employers with students by virtual means, I'm sure, you know, I'm more than happy to help talk, give some ideas, and I'm sure my colleagues will be happy to share some ideas. But again, right now we're using the Zoom software, and we're going to start learning more about the Microsoft Teams software. And that's also been some of the tools that employers have used. And on the counseling side, I have heard from our career advisors that those numbers are fairly low, but they're still you know, available to students.
And hey guys, this is Sue. I guess I'll piggyback on Monique since we work for the same university, but in very different capacities. The master's students right now, we were afraid they would not engage. They are. Keep in mind that over 80% of our students, or the students that I work with, are from China and India, and that has just made life that much more difficult. Still having a lot of calls with employers, but the tone is changing very quickly. Jobs that were literally open yesterday are no longer open today. You know, they just posted them yesterday and they're gone. What I'm hearing about as far as virtual internship programs is the employers that I've talked to that aren't continuing with them. It's not because they don't have the money, and it's not because they don't have the technical resources. They just feel like it would be a less than positive experience for students, and then they wouldn't be able to actually hire them, that they'd lose them down the line because their experience was not good.
So, hey, this is Lori from Wake. We're also doing the SEC ACC thing. We love the fact there's 200 companies. We can't get our students to sign up. We've done some extraordinarily heavy lifting on our team to try to label those things in Handshake so that students can find them very easily, and are trying to push them out through the coaches. So that's been very, very frustrating on our part. Topic of conversation for us now is, as these internship offers begin to be rescinded, programs canceled, our students are asking the question of, well, how do I stay in touch for the next year or the next 6 months so that when they start full-time recruiting, they liked me well enough to hire me for the internship? How do I maintain that relationship in a professional way, and then be there for that full-time job? So now we're kind of helping the coaches to shift their focus to some of that kind of networking, you know, professionalism and interaction. And we don't have the answer for that. We're just starting to hear those questions from the students.
This is Adam over at ECU. I think our challenge over the last week and a half, 2 weeks, is that we've not been allowed to communicate with students at all. I got on a little late. I apologize. I was trying to put my son down for a nap. So if that was already discussed, I apologize. But that's where we're at. I mean, we're not allowed to share anything with students right now. Some emails went from our director, Tom, out to the deans. But we just were able to send our first email from Career Services on a mass scale this morning. But that's also not from our liaisons, our career counselors. So obviously, not sending a whole lot of employer positions. Not that we're dealing with anything different than anybody else. We're not getting a whole lot of that communication right now. But we're talking about career fairs. And what I wanted to ask is, has anybody already started to prepare for the fall, for the potential virtual fairs for the fall? I know most of us are through the spring here, at least relatively through the spring, but just wanted to get a sense of what people were thinking about that, if you're thinking about that already.
I'll jump in on that, Adam. This is Jay again at UNC Charlotte. We had 2 fairs still left on the docket. One was our part-time job fair. We canceled that and pulled those jobs out into a special feed to send to students. But our education career fair is coming up at the end of this week in April the 3rd. And we transitioned that to a virtual fair with the help of the support of the department here and the college, who said, yes, we'll support that and do that. And the systems have been really good about participating. So we'll see how that goes. We're using that as a little bit of a test run to see how it goes. And then we're going to have the conversation as the leadership team in May about, do we want to start planning for the idea of a virtual fair in the fall, what that would look like for us, because that's our really big career fair. And honestly, we're a Simplicity school. Simplicity's virtual fair is a little rudimentary. It's not terrible, but it's a lot of heavy lifting to get it to work. So we're going to take a look at things like Career Echo and some other software out there if we indeed have to go and use a virtual fair of what we do. And I'm familiar with that SEC, ACC, SeekNet group thing. I worked at Auburn for 12 years. I think some of y'all may not know that. So I know that fair well, and I know the Career Echo system well. So we're looking at the possibility of that. We kind of want to have it as the backup plan if this indeed continues to stretch, because we know, like all of you, we're stay at home until April, and the rumors around campus, which mean nothing, it's just people talking, offline and things, are that this may extend for us being away from campus through May and into June, because summer school has already been pushed to online. So that's a reality we're going to have to face at some point, is we might have to pull our fair and turn it into a virtual fair. So that's what we're doing at UNC Charlotte.
Hi, this is April from UNCP. I was kicked off earlier, so I don't know what you heard or anything, but just to echo what everybody is saying, the student numbers are low, the employer numbers are low, but we are reaching out. We're going to have a virtual fair April 13th through the 16th, and also our teacher education fair April 24th. That'll be virtually as well. We have the capabilities of doing that, and I've looked at Career Echo because I've asked you all about it. We're doing a WebEx fair because it will not be that large, but I would like to use the Career Echo possibly in the fall, but we've been informed to go ahead and plan for a face-to-face fair in the fall. So we're moving forward, but we will have a plan B for that as well. Some of the things that are still going strong, I think, are our sessions with our employers virtually with our students. And we were talking about being creative, reaching out to students. I come from grant writing, so I always see what the grants are on campus and the objectives that they have to meet, like our Compass, our RISE. Our business students have a passport program, so they have to meet those requirements. And so those to me are given already, and also health careers. And I'm trying to be very sensitive too about who I reach out to. And I had a discussion with my director this morning about that in terms of reaching out to people that are hiring, but also too, I'm kind of iffy about reaching out to healthcare, because I feel like that's disrespectful in so many ways right now. Even though, they're bringing back retired nurses and doctors, it's kind of a triage moment for them. So I'm having to pick and choose who I reach out to continue that beneficial relationship.
This is Casey. Just in regards to the question about virtual career events, I have not, we had a conversation about it before we left campus a couple of weeks ago, but honestly, that is not at the forefront of my mind. I think if it gets mid-June, end of June, and we're still dealing with this, we may have to start considerations because we normally don't even open up registration till July 1st. So we're still going ahead with planning like we normally would. I mean, we already had at UNC Wilmington, you have to block space like 1,800 years before you're going to use it. So we've had the space blocked. We're in the process of working with OUR to get some new designs created. So we're still moving forward like we would any other normal event. We saved the dates to our employer partners. And then, you know, I guess we'll have to figure that out as we get closer. But right now we have not changed anything for fall to virtual. Our part-time jobs and student services fair will be the first day of class. I think it's August 22nd or something. And then our career fair is planned for the 16th of September.
And I hate to be Debbie Downer, but my goodness, if we are still home in September, I don't know who we'll be hiring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll all be applying for something if we're still home in September. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Paul is starting to see this. Are you noticing? Because I am. More and more of my recruiters are getting laid off.
Yeah, I was going to ask that same question.
Yeah, quite a few have told us that they've been put on temporary leave or things like that. And then several have said that, I mean, they were, again, like you said, Sue, they had internship offers ready to go to the students. And then all of a sudden those programs just disappeared overnight. And that their managers there really wanted to try to keep them, but upper management was just wary of bringing in anybody and extending that experience and all.
Yeah, the few recruiters that I have had conversations with, I mean, most of them are still good. I know Waffle House, that's a big one that probably recruits a lot of your schools. They completely stopped hiring altogether because 400 of their stores have had to close. Several of the recruiters I've talked to have been moved into different roles within their business unit so that they can still actively work, but they aren't doing talent acquisition right now. So I think it varies throughout companies, but then, you know, a staffing firm like Alku and our partners at Amazon, they're all still, you know, actively ramping up the hiring numbers. So I think it just varies from company to company and to what they, I guess, the virtual resources that they have as companies. I know like SAS just onboarded a whole new team of people virtually. Red Hat's done the same thing. So I think there are companies that were more prepared for it and that their businesses can run. And those are the ones that are still actively hiring.
Yeah, I had a call with TQL the other day, Total Quality Logistics, and I mean, of course, they're wide open right now because you got to keep supply chain running.
Yeah.
So he said, "Hey, anything I can do, let me know." And I said, "Oh, tell me all the things you want to do. We have all of these places you can do." So that was good. But yeah, I think you're right, Casey. It's in select industry.
Yeah.
And April, I want to say thanks to you for making that point about the healthcare employers right now too, and just being aware of how incredibly overtaxed they all are in every aspect of that field right now. It's something definitely we should keep in mind.
Yeah.
You did ask, this is Monique at Duke again. You did ask the question about preparations for fall. So we are, our fall career fair is on September 23rd. And right now we are talking about at least putting a virtual career fair in place around September 16th as a backup. But as most of you all mentioned, we are also planning to move forward with fall in a business as usual fashion. We do open our registration for fall recruiting activities. Registration opens on May 18th. So we're still moving forward with that. And hopefully as the summer continues, we'll have a better idea of what our fall career fair will look like.
That's great. Thanks, Monique.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment in thinking through what Casey and Sue are talking about with the recruiters being gone. I mean, how in the world are we going to manage to open up registration for career fairs? And hopefully, you know, there'll be some people in place or they'll be able to get new contact information, but that's going to be a huge challenge for us, all of us, I think, to try to find, number one, who is functioning well enough to be able to register for that. And we may have to be cognizant of that and think about late registrations or, you know, coming right up into September before folks actually do register. And what does that look like for the budget? And When do you make the flip to virtual? I mean, all those are going to be pretty challenging questions for us coming forward. And shoot, we can't even get students to apply for the jobs that are there right now. So
Yeah.
makes me want to go get a hot dog cart in the mountains or something, and just do this.
Well, and I think the interesting thing too will be, when you are looking at it from that perspective, Lori, is like how many companies will actually be registering. Even if the recruiters are still there, like if they've been working from home all summer or their hiring numbers have changed, like are they going to even have the budget to do campus recruiting, or will they still have travel restrictions and be able to come to places? So those are all the things that, I think it's just sort of like a time will tell, getting through the next 30 days and seeing what May looks like, and then trying to see, like, do things start to get back to normal at some point, or is this going to be a trend where we're seeing it, like we said, drag out? So, and I'll be honest, UNC Wilmington, as much as like that feel like that career fair has grown, and we've been bringing in, a more unique group of employers and a mix for those students to say there's no one there for me. We only had, I think, 384 students at our spring fair. The fall, I think it was 565. So we barely have students coming when we're sold out. And so I only can imagine what it would look like if, we had lower numbers of employers. Maybe the student numbers would be higher because they're all freaking out because they didn't have internships or this summer. But, I think it's just it's going to be kind of a roller coaster just to see all of those things. Because I think student engagement, I'll be honest, has been an issue with the UNC Wilmington Career Center. And now that there's less of that because we're not face to face, I just wonder how that's going to look.
I don't think you're alone in that case either. I know we're definitely having a lot of engagement concern with the Career Center and with applications and everything else too. I think you're definitely not alone there.
Yeah. And the reason that I brought that question up is, there's conferences that do joint virtual career fairs. And I don't know if it's something that this group, the state of North Carolina, Carolina wants to do to support the institutions across the state to do a joint virtual career fair. It's early again for us to start moving in that direction. But as we look at the challenges with employers, travel restrictions still being there, turnout, having a robust group of employers and really not competing against each other if there are restrictions, just an idea. So that was the main purpose of bringing that up.
This is Dana at Wake. Adam, that actually was a topic that was brought up at NCACE several years ago. Having been with NCACE for a number of years, we talked about doing an NCACE virtual career fair to benefit the schools across the state. That might be something, Lori, as incoming president, that we ought to throw out as a talking point, because
you thought he was your friend, Lori.
I mean, but when we talked about it, we weren't in the situation we are now. I think everybody felt like they could, I'll just wing it and we'll do what we're doing at our own schools. But now this may be the time that we have to think about this. And having been in the career office for so long, I remember the 2008 downturn. We survived. I remember 9/11. We survived. We'll get through this, but it may be a virtual reality deal that we have to do. So we'll do it. It's not easy, but we'll get through it.
Well, one thing that I'll throw out to the group too, and this is a little bit of a side jump from the career fair part, but as far as like internships being canceled and things like that, I think we're going to see more and more companies start making that call one way or the other in the next week or so, because that's the timeline I've heard from most of ours is sometime early April we'll know what we're doing. And we're working with our small business development centers here in the Charlotte area to offer something that we call gig turnships. It's a cheesy name, but it's all we could come up with. And it's more of like small, short project work that doesn't really meet the full internship capability, but still gives people some work that they can do. There may be or may not be stipends associated with them, but it's just good experiences. And we're going to start pushing those out. We're not going to post them on our site and all that like we normally would. We're going to actually have students opt into a big resume book if they're interested in receiving notification about it. And we'll start sending out those resumes to those contacts and start sending that stuff out to that group in that book too. This is a little thing we're doing to try to maybe offset some of the disruption that's going to happen this summer. I don't know if you need
I like that.
anything like that or not, but
So can I ask a question? How are your universities dealing with the pressure the students are in right now? We've had some very sad things happen at Duke in the last couple of days, and we are currently in the master's program for engineering, getting ready to do a one-on-one outreach to our students, and there are hundreds and hundreds of them, and only like 10 of us. So, you know, are you hearing that the students are overly stressed? I mean, I understand that, you know, with certain schools there is high pressure, but are you all starting to see issues where maybe students that were having some problems are really having problems now?
I will say it's very different for me in my role, because in our career center, I'm very much not in a student facing role. It's just different. Like most of my focus is employer development and events, but I have done some class presentations and student work presentations. And one of the common themes among the students, I think, you know, the online class and the switches and that lack of engagement has been one thing, but a lot of them lost jobs. And so, you know, down here, especially, a lot of them waited tables, they worked on golf courses, they worked at country clubs, they bartended, and that's how they paid to live, to, you know, pay their bills. And so I think they've all been trying to navigate the waters of kind of being pushed into adulthood, like having to file unemployment. Can they file unemployment? What opportunities are there out there that maybe they can still have jobs online? So that has sort of been the messaging. I think they're navigating the class waters still very early, so I haven't heard a lot of that, but I think it's just the other pieces of it that I've heard from several students. It's kind of been a little bit overwhelming. But I don't know, to your question, Sue, I don't really know from a university standpoint. I mean, there's been a lot of messaging. I know our counseling team has been, you know, has virtual hours too, that I think, matter of fact, counseling office may be one of the ones that's still open on campus. But, you know, and there's constant support from our chancellor. I know that there, our office of student leadership and engagement, and some of the the activities department on campus life, they're really trying to engage them via social media. Like last week, we still had kind of Spirit Week and getting them to share that stuff, doing some trivia. So they're still trying to very much engage the students from those perspectives to make them feel like they have that support.
we put out a very cheesy video of all of us sort of chair dancing at our work from home stations for like,
oh gosh, we saw it. We saw it.
Got so much like positive stuff off social media about that they just thought, okay, that was a good break. So we're sitting around trying to come up with like, okay, what other like silly things, but also like, hey, we're still here things can we do to let students know like, hey, we're with you. It's tough. We're all dealing with bandwidth problems, but we're in it together. So we're trying to come up with a lot of that messaging. And the thing that we've pushed out to really everybody, but all of our communication going out, is that it's just try to be really positive about, hey, there's a lot of situations we can't control. Here's what we can. Let's help you focus on the stuff you can do and what's positive.
I was just going to say that I know, at least because we work for all students, of course, the college side has had several focus groups with students, Zoom meetings, et cetera, to try to get a pulse on what they're feeling, what they're thinking. All very concerned, all very discombobulated, like the rug's been pulled out from under them. We're in our second week, I guess, of classes as well. And so pre-experience program is having, the master's program is having a focus group on Friday that we found out about, and I've asked to participate, because if they are going to talk about careers, I don't need it to just go to the coaches. It needs to come to our side as well, so we can figure out, are we doing the things that the students want us to be doing? Like, we can't match make or pair or recruit, make companies recruit, but, you know, if there are certain things that they feel like would be helpful, then we can certainly try to do that. We've had a state of the market address, virtual address last night. We have Handshake 101 session tonight at 6, and we have a LinkedIn Learning opportunity on Wednesday night. And we had some decent attendance. We had 40-some people at the one last night. And so I think as word gets out, as students are talking to other students and to their friends, maybe with the positivity of what we are doing for them can filter through. But right now, I don't think they're reading their emails at all. So that's our huge problem is how else do you get to them? It's got to be through social. It's got to be through the Instagram channel that OPCD runs and a fellow manages, and that way it's peer-to-peer. So we're just having to navigate all that. But I do think that, and I told Stuart this morning, I said, so we did all this great stuff this week, but I'm not sure they were ready. They're still figuring it out. So maybe put it on the calendar for 3 weeks from now, and let's do a repeat and try to reach, the kids that have all of a sudden decided, okay, yeah, I am going to pass my classes now. I've figured out I'm going to graduate, and now I can move into the next step. Because right now, they just found out yesterday we weren't going to graduate, that they weren't going to officially, be able to walk across the stage in May. So they're dealing with a lot of emotional things, I think. Plus, we have a huge component of students that come from a lot of these hot spots. So you have to think that they've had to leave safe little Winston-Salem and go back to New York City. And who knows what they're dealing with there with, other siblings or parents. San Francisco's the same way. We've got kids out in LA. So I think it's presumptuous. I think it's not good of us to try to push so much out. I know that's our job and that's what we're doing. But I am really struggling with how hard do we work when they're not ready to receive it. And I don't want to burn up the channels too soon. So I think we'll probably take a little bit of a step back this week after this is over with and kind of regroup and see where they are.
I don't know if you all saw that I posted on the little chat side of it, but it moves very quickly. Now I just figured out how to go back. But one of the projects I took on was I'm reaching out to alums and getting them to answer some quick questions. I'm reaching out to 08, 09, and 10 alums about their job search and what it was like to be in the middle of a recession and just come out of Duke with bills for undergrad and then master's programs. And I'm starting to get some feedback, and the alums are very happy to help. So I'm going to do some fireside chats, I think, and some quick videos, because this might be, some of them are saying to me, this is the time when you know that it will take longer, but in your head, you aren't understanding that. So to hear it from somebody else that don't get too discouraged. This is what happened to me. Look where I am now. There's hope. And this is, why we keep telling you to foster and make your connections and keep them solid, because this is when you could be out there, even just talking to people, again, informational interviews, super simple things that people weren't doing because there were just too many job opportunities for them.
I like it too.
I'll share with you, Lori, when I put it out.
I'm making some notes right now. The best ideas are copied, right?
Well, Elon saw my post, somebody from Elon, and I said, hey, if Elon decides to do this, I've also got a colleague at Boston College, a previous colleague, and she's happy to share too, because I thought the more of us that could reach out and get some of this feedback and put some things together, we can share, right? That's what we all need to do right now.
Yeah, agreed. And maybe this is another thing of NCACE. I mean, maybe we can come together under that umbrella so it doesn't look like it's 100%, owned by Duke or Wake Forest or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe we could do. I'll call Patrick. He's still president.
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, y'all, we've only got a few more minutes here, and I'm aware of everybody's time. I know you've got a lot of other things going on. Is there any other things we want to discuss? And then the last thing I wanted to put out is, do we want to reconvene like maybe every couple of weeks and have one of these just where we can all talk shop for 45 minutes or so and see what's going on?
I think so. I think it's helpful to talk to people that are living our pain compared to the coaches, career coaches who have their other version of pain. I think I like connecting back with my folks.
And I'm in Maine. I came up to visit my kids for 5 days at the beginning of March. I am still here. My son in North Carolina asked me the other day if I was coming home for Christmas. So I'm a little secluded, which is nice. There's nothing but trees out my window right now, but it's been cold and rainy, and it's really nice every once in a while to see your faces. So Jay, thank you. And yes, I would love to do it again.
Okay.
And I would also be willing to not only have a conversation about work, but if anybody is watching Tiger King, I spare like 6 hours of my day for that. Just so we're clear. I have already watched all 7 or 8 episodes. I've done some online research, backstories. Carol Baskin is going to be my Halloween costume. So if we just...
I have to send pictures to Stover of that, Casey, because he will appreciate it more than anybody.
Oh, y'all, it is. I feel like it's the only thing that's gotten me through the last 2 weeks, like because I've at least had that to like take my mind off of everything else.
Maybe we should also have an ER team or ER professionals happy hour once a month or something too.
Yes,
just for that.
And for that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I will. I'll do another doodle poll and all that kind of stuff, and set those out. And or if somebody else wants to, you're welcome to. I just am volunteering myself for things, but
Go for it, Jay.
yeah, I'll put those out for us, and then we can.
He's our tech guy.
We can get them on the. We'll get them on the calendar and everything, and chat. And like I said, I've recorded this session. I'll. I think I'm going to just set up a random YouTube channel and post it there, and just send all of you the link. So if you want to send it out to people that weren't here, they can rewatch it and relive the glory that was Casey's Tiger King moment when she revealed her Halloween costume. But yeah.
So Patrick Roberts will have Lori's pointing that she's going to bounce something to him.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we'll put that together. Well, thank you all again for participating in this, and just keep up the good fight. That's all we can do, and keep your students encouraged, keep your staffs encouraged. And if you need anything from me, feel free to reach out. Y'all know how to get in touch with me, and let's just keep each other moving forward and share good ideas. Keep doing the cool stuff you're doing. I mean, I scroll through LinkedIn and find what y'all are doing every day and go, oh, I'm going to steal that. That's a great idea. So,
We all do, Jay.
What?
I said, that's what we all do.
Yeah, right. I mean, I've been in career services for 21 years. That's all we ever do. We are like plagiarists of all time. Because
Just rebrand.
Because copying is the sincerest form of flattery. So,
Right.
So, well, hey, y'all, everybody have a great rest of your week, and we'll chat again soon. Okay.
Bye, guys.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Jay.
Bye.
See you.
Everybody.
Bye, everybody.